Hello traders and welcome to a new video of price analysis and a price prediction. This past week of Bitcoin has been insane. I think we have seen a 50% increase in the price of Bitcoin. And a lot of people are just sitting wondering, how did this happen and how could we have predicted that? I can't say for sure, but we're going to look into a few indicators that I think can provide meaningful analysis for the future. So we're going to use these indicators, 4 of them. We're going to look at them and we're going to see what is likely to happen to Bitcoin in the future based on those indicators. Additionally, I have my price action and volume guide for sale, which also comes with the professional day trading group that I have linked in the description below. So if you're interested in learning more about these indicators that I'm going to be talking about today or going a little bit deeper into analysis, you can join that group. All right, indicator number 1, let's go take a look at the total BFXLS. Now, this is a great indicator that goes a lot deeper into Bitfinex sentiment than most other indicators. So what we have here is the dollar value weighted total BFXLS. It adds together all of the long positions on Bitfinex. So that'd be like long positions on Bitcoin, long positions on Ethereum, long positions on, you name it. Any coin that offers margin data on Bitfinex, and then looks at how many margin short positions there are, and then it gets a ratio. It creates a ratio between the longs and the shorts. Now, the way that we can use this is really twofold, and I've made many videos on how to interpret sentiment. It's not very, it's not exactly straightforward, this, then that. It's more you always want to put sentiment in the context of a trend and find whether that is a late stage trend, or if it's more of an emerging trend. A pretty cool pattern that we saw here that I do want to mention is in this black number. I think is it this black number or is the second black number? I think it is. Yeah, I think it's that black number here. Yep, it is. Okay. So this black number here is going to tell you the value of this black line here. So it was at 75% right about here, and then price kind of consolidated. Now take a look at what happens to the percent long short right before this bull run. It goes down a lot lower, and it goes all the way down to what was this, a low of about 61. Oh, that's an interesting number, 61.8. Some people in the comments can probably find out why I find 61.8 is interesting. Well, probably the majority of you know what 61.8 means, but it's a number. But yeah, so we had a very large decrease in the long percent, and this actually could have provided the fuel for this bull run. Now what do we see with this kind of percent? Well, as we've gotten more parabolic of this move just kind of going bananas upward, we can see that we have a large increase in sentiment. That is not bullish, that is not bearish. What all that means is that we have to put that in the context of the trend. Now, I'm not going to keep repeating myself and not give any analysis on this because that'd be pointless. Here's what I will say. If price goes sideways and we see an increase in long sentiment, I would find that bearish. And if we see price just continue to rise with sentiment rising, I'd find that pretty neutral. But if we see a high volatility move upward with a large tail or a large wick, so something like this, but longer than that, and we see increase in sentiment, then that would be bearish as well. But as long as we see these strong bullish candles, like these are strong bullish candles for the most part, except for this guy here. These are strong 4-hour bullish candles on BitMEX. I don't see any reason to call this bearish. All right, so that's analysis number 1 taken out of the way. That provides us with Bitfinex margin data. Now, the second one is one that I've never used in a price prediction video before, but I really like it. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. Now, if you haven't seen my last video on inflow outflow, I highly recommend you go check that out. Here's a little segment from that video. So across the board, if I was to make a prediction, I think that this looks pretty bullish. I don't really see any reason for this to be, major downtrend. Maybe we get a retracement, but I don't really see any reason for this trend to just, dump to 6K. Okay. Now, what do we see? Well, I'm still seeing a dominance of more outflow than inflow. What does that mean? That means that more Bitcoin is leaving these exchanges than entering these exchanges. And if we see more Bitcoin leaving these exchanges, then that's likely going into wallets. The more Bitcoin that's in wallets and less that are on exchanges, the less likely or the less possible it is that Bitcoin can be sold, meaning bullish. So if you see more outflow than inflow, that would be called bullish. If you see more inflow than outflow, that would be called bearish. Now let's go take a look at a few exchange-specific outflow inflows to see just how much Bitcoin is going in and out of these exchanges. What we see here is purple is outflow and green is inflow. I'm still seeing just a lot more outflow than inflow. So this is telling me that there's really no reason to be bearish. I mean, yeah, we might get a retracement, but there's no reason for me to say at this point in time, based on this data, that I am very, 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 very bearish. I mean, if anything, this looks actually bullish. This is one exchange. This is just Bitfinex and tracking the Bitcoin that goes in and out of Bitfinex. But let's go take a look at another exchange such as, Bitstamp has a large amount of volume as well. Let's go take a look at their outflow and inflow. I'm still seeing a lot of outflow here, not much inflow. Lots of Bitcoin are leaving these exchanges, meaning that they're going to wallets, meaning that people probably don't want to sell them. So less potential sellers. So still, I mean, that one looks bullish as well. Now, if we look at something like, what's another good one? Well, BitMEX can be a little bit tricky because Bitcoin entering BitMEX doesn't really mean, it means something a little bit different because this is not, the same as these exchanges, of course. I think Binance has had issues with inflow outflow recently, but yeah, okay, we can't really interpret that data. But we can see a large amount of outflow right before of Bitcoin from the exchange. If we look at something like Bittrex, and this will be the last one that we look at before we move on to more analysis. I mean, this right here, it looks like a pretty good sign to me. We saw a large amount of inflow actually here, and price went down. We saw a large amount of outflow here, right? Not much inflow. Price rose, and now we see a large amount of outflow again. Looks like 3,000 Bitcoin left the exchange in one day. Yeah, and this still looks bullish to me. So there's really no reason for me to call this very, very bearish. I think that I'm just seeing more Bitcoin leaving these exchanges than entering these exchanges. Okay, is there anything else I can talk about on this page? Probably, but I do want to go on to other analysis as well. Now, what I want to say so far is providing analysis of what happened in the past. So what we looked at was sentiment and how that drop in sentiment may have fueled the bull run. And then what we also looked at for here in analysis of the past. Take a look at the past 2 or 3 minutes of this video, and take a look at the charts of these exchanges and look how much outflow you had before the bull run. We actually had a large amount of Bitcoin leaving these exchanges right before price rose. So that could clue you into something. Now for the future, because I don't want to just provide analysis, 2020, the future, I mean, I'm telling you that this, I'm not a financial advisor, but this isn't giving me any indication of major bearishness. This is giving me an indication of continued bullishness, if anything. If I had to put, money on, do I go long or short? I'd have to say long based on the information so far that we've looked at. All right, let's continue doing an analysis and a price prediction. So what you're looking at here is the 5% BAS for BitMEX. So what that shows us is the limit orders, 5% within range of price. So just a quick example of explaining what that means, because it can be a little bit complex. Let's say Bitcoin's at 1,000, right? It would show us all of the bids or the limit orders to buy from 950 to 1,000, because that's 5% within price. And if Bitcoin's at 1,000 and we look at the offers, 5% above price, it would be the offers from 1,000 to 1,050. Now, what this does is it's going to show the amount, in millions of contracts of how many people are bidding and how many people are offering within 5% of price. Now, typically when more people are bidding, more people are trying to buy than offering, trying to sell, price tends to rise. And when more people are trying to sell, so more people are placing limit sells and not as many people are placing limit buys, that's typically a sign that price will fall. What has happened in the past? Well, let me get out my handy dandy drawing tool here just to circle. So first that I see, I mean, yeah, this was actually a really good sign here. We saw, this one was not beautiful because, price did rise, but here we saw a large amount of selling pressure in here as well, and price fell. Okay, that's to be expected. And then here we see just continued bullishness. We see more limit buys than limit sells, and price rose and price continued to rise. We had a little patch here on the 5% where we actually did see more offers than bids. What happened to price? Well, price fell, expectedly. And then we just continued to see bids were higher than offers here, right? And guys, when this is happening, there's just no reason to exit along. And personally, with my position, I did not exit. I have held Bitcoin this entire month and the month before because I did not see any reason. I don't see any reason now to exit my Bitcoin position. This just doesn't seem like a good time to exit. So I just held. And you can continue to see this dominance of more bidding, the green, than offering, the red. And price just did continue to rise. The only time where actually the offers were able to overtake the bids, and it's not often, was here. You can see that we did have a lot more offers than bids, and yeah, price did fall a little bit. And then the second time that happened was during this bull run as well. But then that was quickly corrected when we see right there that the bids quickly then just overtook the offers once again. So this would have been probably a pretty bad false signal if you had tried to short this. But overall, we can see that the majority of these signals do look on the 5% to be pretty good. I think that if you had just followed this overall and just said, hey, if I ever see that the 5% offers are larger than the 5% bids for more than, let's say, don't quote me on this, but let's say like 3 or 4 days, then I exit my long position. That's probably not a terrible idea. But if it's only above for like half a day, then, maybe you don't want to do that. Okay, so here we've looked at the 5% on the 7-day. We can also look at, even more recent to look at the very short term and what's happened. We can see a large amount of bidding occurred here and, price rose. And then here was that little stretch that I just talked about where we got a bit of a conflicting signal where we had more offers than bids, but price rose anyway. And that was quickly corrected and we see more bids than offers here. So yeah, of course, this indicator is not 100% and you have to pair this indicator with other analyses, such as looking at outflow and inflow if you're more of a medium-term trader. So analysis-wise, I think that this looks pretty good. Now let me talk about a prediction because all that I've talked about with this indicator has been just analysis. This still looks bullish to me. I don't see any reason to call this bearish. So I would say 3 out of these 4 indicators are well. The first one, I think, sentiment was pretty neutral, but I think that the other indicators here are looking pretty bullish. I don't really see any reason to exit my long yet. Famous last words. Bitcoin goes to like 4,000, gets cut in half, and you're like, oh, Bitcoin Trading Challenge told me to hold my long, and he's a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. DYOR. Know the acronym. Okay. Now let's look at the historical global market depth, and we're going to finish on this, then go back to TradingView, and I'm going to close out this video. What we're looking at here, and I've talked about this many times, is this is the limit order. Limit orders within 5% of every single cryptocurrency, besides BitMEX. So Binance, Bitfinex, Bittrex, all of those cryptocurrencies, it pulls the data and looks 5% below, 5% above for all the limit orders and sees which one is larger. What do we see in this pattern here in the past week? I think it's pretty clear that we've just seen bullishness. I mean, the MDR here, the market depth has just been consistently bullish, and it's been indicating to buy for quite some time. If we look at the 1 month, even the 1 month has just stayed bullish. More people are trying to buy than sell overall in cryptocurrencies. And if we look at what was the absolute craziest or the most extreme that the signal got, it was on May 9th at 1:30 p.m. Okay, let's go take a look at May 9th at 1:30 p.m. This already looks pretty good to me. May 9th at 1:30 will be 13:30, so that'd be here. That was the most bullish that this global MDR had gotten. And if you had recognized that and bought at that exact point in time, I mean, you'd be sitting pretty. Sitting pretty. Not sitting pretty. I don't think that's a thing. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so I think that this would have been a pretty good signal to buy. All these would have probably been a pretty good signal to buy, except for this. I mean, if I see this, I do not love the idea of buying. But something like this is just telling me, yeah, there's just so many people trying to buy crypto that we can try to buy before them and then ride this, ride the uptrend higher. Now let's go talk about a prediction and not analysis. All right. Look, I still see bullishness. Right now we just did turn bearish, which could mean short-term bearishness, medium-term bullishness. I don't think that this uptrend's over. I think that there is still more to come. And I think if you want to go more short-term, what you can also do is you can look at the 1% here or even the 2.5. So if we wanted to look at the 1%, which is very short-term of all cryptocurrencies, I mean, this still looks bullish. If I look at the 1% here, it's remained bullish too. So maybe we do get a bit of short-term, let me go in the 5-minute, maybe we do get a bit of short-term bearishness before resuming, medium-term bullishness. Okay, so that does it for the prediction for that one there, as you can see. right, guys, so this has been a price prediction video that's been kept pretty simple. We just looked at sentiment across all of Bitfinex. We looked at outflow inflow of cryptocurrency exchanges, and that shows me that this still looks quite bullish. It looks like people are still trying to remove their Bitcoin from exchanges, which is a good sign for an uptrend. BAS, so BitMEX, limit orders to buy and limit orders to sell, still looks like we see a lot of people trying to buy, more bids than offers. That's bullish. And finally, the global MDR still looks quite bullish as well. So overall, I mean, if I had to say something, I'd have to say bullish or continued uptrend. Now, if we were to talk about targets, that would be a different kind of video. You know, what kind of targets do we see? I think that a lot of scenarios at play for what can happen around right above 8,000. If we do reach 8,000, maybe we get a very high wick, you know, and then price goes back down. That would be bearish. But if you see prices calmly break 8,000, then just calmly continue to go higher on medium volatility and a medium volume, I mean, that would be very, very bullish, of course. One thing I do want to show is the 1 week volume on BitMEX has been insane. I mean, I think this is a volume high or in line with as much volume as here. So we do have a large amount of volume emerging from this pattern here. And we'll see if that volume can continue to pick up and price will continue to go higher. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, you can leave a comment. You can join our Discord if you want to chat a little bit more in depth. And of course, all of the indicators that I mentioned in today's video will be linked in the description below. I'm not going to hide them from you. If you disagree, if you agree with what I'm saying, yeah, just comment in the comments. I'm not going to be offended if you say, "You're wrong, I'm bearish," or something like that. I promise you I will not be offended. Maybe I am wrong, and you know, maybe price goes down. That's kind of part of this game. We can only give our best with the indicators that we find best, and you know, I'm not Nostradamus, and no one is. So, you know, we'll see if this turns bullish, and if medium term it does turn bearish, then I'm going to look back at my analysis, and I'm going to see, okay, what went wrong here? Did indicators change, or did they just give me a bad reading or whatever? And then you adapt and move on. All right, guys, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys next time.